Welcome to the Find Your Leadership Confidence podcast with Vicki Nedling. You are about to discover impactful lessons that help you grow as an individual, grow your confidence, and find the positive and good within you, so you powerfully and authentically become the best version of yourself. Be sure you visit our website at www.findyourleadershipconfidence.com. While you're there, subscribe to us via your favorite network. Now tune in, get ready, and enjoy the journey of emerging as a leader of exception in the 21st century.
Welcome, everyone, to the Find Your Leadership Confidence podcast. I'm your host, Vicki Nedling, coming to you from Roswell, Georgia. The goal of this podcast is to bring to you guests and topics that will empower you to grow as a confident leader and take your business or your life to the next level. Today, I am thrilled to have my guest, a fellow Pennsylvanian, Sandy Joy Weston. And our theme for today is going to be fitness and wellness 40 plus. And you'll find out more about that. But let me talk to you a little bit about our guest. So Sandy Joy Weston, MED, received her master's degree in Exercise Physiology from Temple University, achieved her Bachelor of Science in Dance from Westchester University. She began her journey as a health club owner when she opened an in-home private training company called Specialty Fit. Then she proceeded to open her first Weston Fitness in Ballackinwood, Pennsylvania, with the help of her mentors. After much success, she continued to open 2 more health clubs, including one in the heart of the Center City, Philadelphia. Sandy's vivacious personality and positive attitude made her impossible to ignore. So when Philadelphia's NBC 10 caught wind of her, they approached her to become their fitness expert. During her time with NBC 10, she hosted fitness segments with the Philadelphia Phillies, Eagles, Flyers, and the 76ers. Her great TV personality took her to the Discovery Channel, where she was featured trainer on the reality TV show Health Cops. Sandy also created the nationally recognized Philly Street line dance to help combat Philadelphia's fattest city label in 2001, which was taught all over the city. So again, as I mentioned, our theme today is fitness and wellness 40 plus. Please join me in welcoming my guest, Sandy Joy Weston. Hey, Sandy.
Vicki, can you please come with me everywhere? That was the best opening I've ever heard. And then I'm like, I forgot I even did that. Are you sure this is me?
Yeah, it's so cool. I wish I would have known you earlier to kind of follow you. And I'm obviously I'm a Pittsburgh girl, so a super big sports fan of the Pittsburgh teams. And so very interesting. One of the areas that I kind of would like to help in my business is those new athletes that have something to say and want to do something beyond their careers, but are not really great at public speaking. And that's who I'd like to help. So we have synergy there in what we've got. So this is the time where I start to ask questions so our guests can get to know you a little bit better. And I always start with a very easy question. The question is, tell us where you are living now. Are you still in Philadelphia? Where are you?
I am. Well, I live in the suburbs of Philadelphia in Berwyn, Pennsylvania, which, if people know Villanova University, I'm about 5 minutes from there, or Valley Forge Park. It's a wonderful, wonderful area. I'm not far from the city, about 35 minutes. Well, if there's no heavy traffic.
Oh, so when is that? Sunday at 2:00.
You never know. I'm telling you, I think I got it all mapped out, but you never know.
Yeah, for sure. All right, so let's really get into this. We don't have a lot of time. I have tons of good questions for you, but just I gave a great background, but just tell us, a little bit about this journey that you've been on in these last many years. Not many years, that sounds terrible. In these last few years. And why did you go that way? From your 2 degrees, how did you get where you are today?
I've been thinking about that question, and it's not a straight line for sure. And none of it is like, okay, cookie cutter, and I can mentor and say, do this, then do this, then do this. This is what I can tell you. Even as a little kid, I always wanted to spread joy. I always wanted to entertain others in any way I could. And whether it was with my dance or making goofy things up just to make myself laugh, if I could put a smile on someone's face, that's what it was all about. And a lot of it came from, I grew up in the projects, not the best situation, but not so bad. But my mother, she spent at least 50% of her life in mental institutions.
Oh, wow.
So it wasn't the best family environment, although because I've never told my story until the last few years, people just assumed I grew up in a pippy skippy, awesome environment with people who were loving and kind and must have had money. And it was quite the opposite. They did the best they could, but it left a lot to be desired.
Wow.
But because I think I came out of the womb knowing I had a bigger purpose, and my middle name is Joy, I tapped into my unique gifts, my superpower, since the time I was I think 4, I can remember, to lift people's spirits. And I remember from the time I was 9 and would go to visit, me and my brother would visit my mom in the mental institutions, I would dance to entertain them and to lift their spirits. So I remember going in going, oh my God, this place is depressing, horrible. Some of the people, whole nother podcast, they didn't belong there, some of the people. And so what was I going to do to shift the energy? And so I'd wait till they were all out in the lobby getting their medicine. I throw on my tap shoes until they kicked me out. And I'd say, you don't need that. Just watch me. I'll enjoy. But that being said, and seeing how in extreme situations I was able to do that for others and myself, I never had any idea it was a career. I just knew that this was a gift I had. And then the thing that I just discovered recently that I wasn't even putting 2 and 2 together, that I did 3 things every day to visualize where I wanted to go and who I wanted to be and to get myself out of this crazy situation. I would use movement, words, and laughter. Now, my friends call it my wonderful life system. But I'm telling you, I never put 2 and 2 together. That I was doing it back then and then made a livelihood out of it and coached other people in it. But my wonderful life system was every single day, Vicki, I would home in on one word. One word. I tell myself joy, love, peace, dream, powerful. And I would home in on that word and say, if I could just visualize the word joy, what would I do to feel joy? Where would I go? What would I want to do? I would think of just one word. And then I would move. For me, it was just jumping around, dancing around for a minute, putting on my favorite tunes. And I would get inside and embody whatever word I picked that day. Could be ease and flow, peace. And those 2, in addition to, I always made light of every story. I mean, you could hear a story 50,000 different ways. One way you're depressed, next way you're angry, and the next way you're laughing. It's all in the delivery. I made light of everything. So those 3 things, not long, I did every single day to visualize me getting out of the projects, going to college, doing whatever. I had no idea it was going to take me beyond what I ever dreamed of. But I did know that if I did those things and I tapped into my inner voice, my higher power, my angels, whatever you want to call the universe, I would never be alone and I would feel loved and I would be able to share these gifts with the world. So to answer your question, I didn't have a plan. I just know, hey, it's a good idea to go to college. I love dance. I got to figure out a way to get great grades and dance to get a scholarship, which I did. And then that took me on a different journey of teaching aerobic classes. Whatever I did, I wanted to serve others. People saw that. I was living on the main line in Philadelphia. They're like, oh, come train me in my home. I'm like, back then in the 80s, they didn't have trainers. I'm like, okay. So no one was doing it. I wasn't about what they could do for me. I was about what I could do for them and serving them. So I met the who's who and I trained them in their home. And because they could see that I truly was just there for them, they all wanted to help me. So they would mentor me on business. And I had the greatest mentors. And that formed my first private training company, which then someone said, oh, you should open a health club. I'm like, oh, that's not a bad idea. So it took me 3 years and I opened that. And then I realized, ooh, I need more degrees. So I went back to school and then somebody else invested in this club and that club. It wasn't anything I thought. I just thought I am here to spread joy. And however I can do it, let me be a servant to it.
Right.
And that's how all this miraculous stuff, I would have been happy to pump gas and be a waitress for a living. I loved it.
You know, as you're telling your story, the thing that really strikes me is that you never said, I should do something else, or I can't do this. You just said, why not? I'm going to try. I mean, what's the worst that could happen?
Well,
and that's a great message for everybody, you know, just give it a go. What's the worst that could happen?
And I did have a slight advantage. What were they going to take away from me? I mean,
So
I was joyful before and I didn't have that. So there was nowhere to go but up. I wasn't risking a lot. And also there was naivete. I didn't know that it wasn't possible. I
right.
wasn't thought, like I wasn't filled with the naysayers yet. I didn't even think, oh, you're 1 in a million. I didn't know enough not to think I was.
Yeah. But you obviously also were surrounded by people that believed in you enough, rather that, you know, a lot of people don't get to where they could go because of all the helpful people around them that are telling them, you know, that in their ear that's saying, you can't do that. What are you trying to do? Are you crazy?
Yeah. Well, here's the thing that I learned from my mentors. Don't share your story with that many people. If you're going to share it, be sure you're so convicted that then you can take the hits because you're ready to go and you just want to, you know, troubleshoot it. Be very, very careful. So I really do feel like I was the luckiest person in the world because these people, even though maybe some people didn't like them on the outside, they were amazing to me and such true gifts. And they saw something in me before I could even see it. You know, they just kept pushing me and mentoring me and pushing me. And they were like, there isn't anything you can't do. All of them kept saying that.
And I would think now, you know, just like me, because you had those people that believed in you before you believed in yourself, you as the mentor now probably are doing that for others.
Everyone I can in every way I can. Every single day in every outlet, because I feel so blessed.
Oh, that's so awesome. So your motto is all it takes is 1 to 3 minutes a day to change your body, your life in a positive way. So I think I know why you believe this, but why don't you share, you know, why do you believe this?
Well, you know, Vicki, what we were saying before about what I did as a child, I didn't even put that together when I started. Okay. I'll tell you why. It's a crazy thing. So again, with joy, that my whole purpose, mission in life, spread joy, right? So when I was in my late 20s and had my first health club, I decided, wouldn't it be neat to study people who I felt exuded pure joy? To see, could it be taught?
Yeah.
Could it be transferred? Or am I just born under the lucky star and like screw the rest of you people? I don't think, right? So I picked 100 different people. I was very fortunate because of my gym that I felt you want to be around these people. They're confident, but not snobby. Like they exude joy. And I was going to interview them, every month for like 2 hours. And I would give you a free membership for trainings.
Nice.
And it was every walk of life, CEOs, CFOs, moms, dads, pro athletes, average Joes. And after a year, I couldn't see any pattern. But then my colleagues said, Sandy, look at it, look at it, look at it. And besides them believing they were worthy of getting what they want in life, every single one of them did something every single day before they entered the world. All different. They could have listened to music, walked their dog, worked out, meditated, made muffins. It was all over the place. But they didn't just let life happen to them. They happened to life. And so I was like, oh my God, this is great. So I'm going to create a guidebook, and we're going to help people who don't already have that system get into that positive health system. Nice. So then by that time, after a year, I had my other club in Center City. I gathered what I called the powers that be. And they were 12 people. Let's call them the apostles from every walk of life. And I wanted science and spirituality behind my belief system. Let's create this guidebook. And so I got the exercise physiologists, the sports psychologists, the gurus, most of the time they didn't agree with one another. They would argue, debate. I'm like, whoa, 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 whoa. You're all saying the same thing. And I'm like, you're saying nothing is more important than getting in that headspace and then. And they're like, okay, you're right. So I created a guidebook that took 5 minutes, put it out to the world again, different group of people, highly motivated people, said, all I need you to do this, pick one area of your life you're going to work on. It's going to take you 5 minutes. Well, one person did it. So devastated, I go back to one of my leaders, powers to be, and they said, okay, well, nobody's going to spend 5 minutes to do something to improve their life unless they already have that belief system. I'm like, that's whacked, because they don't believe it. Yeah. Let's shorten it up. So we shortened it up to be a minute to 3 minutes, and they did. So that's where the minute to 3 minutes. I did not realize, cuckoo bird that I am, putting these links together until I was recently writing my keynote over. Like, wait a minute. I've been doing this my entire life because I've been using the same thing, movement, words, and laughter, but I didn't even see that until they made me write about my childhood. So there you have it.
Oh my goodness. So interesting. So how would you recommend that we set ourselves up for success and being able to reach our goals?
The first thing is take time, what I call scribble scrabble, or your brain drain, to write down in anything what you're going after in a specific area of your life. So there's 3 main areas. Body health, which is what we're focusing on. Could be money, career, love, relationship. Pick one. Just pick one. I promise the other ones will come along for 30 days. And when you focus in on that, ask yourself, what do I really want in this area of my life? But before, and you might start saying, I want this, I want that, whatever it is, not what other people want, but, take time to just really write it down. And then that's your scribble scrabble.
Mm-hmm.
And then write your brain drain. What is all the reasons you think you can't have that? Because if you thought you could have it, you'd have it right now.
Yeah.
And you want to clear your head and write down what's really going on. You got to get really honest with yourself. You got to get down dirty. No one else is looking at this. I don't believe it's possible. I'm too old. That's going to take too long. You got to get real. I've tried it a million times before. Why is it? It's called your brain drain. And then you put a big X through it. And then you start slightly changing the story of things maybe you could slightly believe till you can finally go, oh, all right, well, maybe I could do that. Well, I've seen other people, some 95-year-old woman ran a marathon, and you start doing things that you might believe. And then through the other end of that, you will come up with a goal in that area that you really want for yourself, with being able to see what's really there now, because that's what's really there, and then creating an action around, hey, I'm really willing to put the time in to get that goal.
Wow.
And it's only once. That's why I say you have to do it beforehand, before you set out. But then once you do that every day, you're only going to reflect 1 minute to 3 minutes a day.
Oh, wow. Easy enough.
Yeah.
So I know that for me, probably the last 10 years, I started to journal. And I just really love doing that. So tell our audience why you think journaling is so important.
Okay, so journaling is like yoga and meditation. There's so many different ways to do it, and it could take 1 minute or 2 hours. You got to find what's right for you. There's journaling just to clear your head, which is what I call brain drain or scribble scrabble, and you're just getting your thoughts out or doing some creative writing, whatever. But then there's also, which is great, because it's like, holy moly, I really thought that, that's what's going on in that. All right, well, that doesn't serve me well. So that's a big reason.
Yeah.
Another reason is because you will discover what you really want. Like we talked about, not what somebody else wants for you. Like,
Right.
really want to be a psychiatrist. What maybe? Oh, my parents did. That's right. I want to be a trapeze artist, whatever it is. It helps you clear your head to see what you're going after. And then once you realize, oh, this is what I really want to go after, it's a reminder every day. You get up every morning, you look and you go, oh, that's the goal I set. I said I was going to move 5 minutes a day. It's a reminder of what you want, so that the day just doesn't bang you away and other people pull you in other directions. You're like, wait a minute. Let's get back to this. And that's why they say, I know studies are studies, but 40% of people are more likely to reach their goals when they write them down.
Yep.
And the main thing is forget the body-mind connection, but it's also because you're reminding yourself, oh yeah, wait a minute, that's not going to get me that. Whoops, that easy.
And I know, even if you look at it from the fitness perspective, whenever you start to write down what you eat, and people think, oh, it's such a pain, but it's enlightening. It really is eye-opening when you start to write down what you ate. How did you feel after you ate that? How did your body react to it? And especially like for me, who, is past 60, to really see, okay, how can I have that youthful feeling that I had, and is something that I'm eating keeping me from that? So why don't you talk about that from the fitness aspect?
All right, so I have a whole section I call food freedom. And my philosophy might be a little different than most people out there. And I want to keep in mind, my degree is in exercise physiology. I do teach a lot with food freedom, but I'm not a nutritionist. I'm not a doctor.
But I acted like one on TV.
Yeah, exactly. So everything with food is your relationship with food, just like everything else. It's your mindset. There are some people that really do benefit from writing it down, because they see, oh, Okay. I said I wanted my power statement, which we're going to get more into later, is I want to eat and move to feel amazing at any age. Well, is that really going to help me get to where I want to go? So it's checks and balances. Other people writing it down, it gives them heebie-jeebies. So it really is a personal thing. The biggest thing is what you were talking about, is your relationship with food. And even just pausing for a second and saying, do I really want that bowl of ice cream? How will I feel after I have that bowl of ice cream? Well, no, this is my treat. I'm going to enjoy it. I really want it, and I'm going to have fun with it, and no guilt. Freaking have the bowl of ice cream. But it's that pausing for a second and taking a step back to think long-term versus short-term instant gratification. And when you do that just for a moment, most people will change what they eat, as well as I'm all about placement. I keep the cookies out where you can see them. If you have kids and you want to have them in the house, put them up high. We have to really reach for them, or somewhere off, because it does help you pause versus just go, oh my God, I'm starving. And then I do believe in replacement. So if you need to eat crunchy things and you want to have some healthy nut or fruits or carrots, it does help if you're used to eating crunchy things. So there's just a few things, but I'm all about the relationship of food, being honest when you eat food. Some people eat food when they're bored, they're stressed, there's a bunch of different reasons. Once you uncover that, then that's when you really have food freedom.
Yeah, for sure. So what is the game plan, power statement, and action plan that you talked about in your bio?
So we touched on it a little bit, that I wanted to create a guidebook so that people, once they had what they're going after that month and their goal, they could have a reflection of something and really be honest with themselves that they're willing to do it. So game plan, I know, sounds like, wow, how did you not come up with that sooner? It took 12 apostles. I'm not kidding you. So it was G for goal, and really time with your goal. A is the action, looking at the goal. Am I willing to put in the action to get there? The biggest thing back then was the M for the motivation. Why do you want this? What's your motivation? Let's get real. Maybe you just got divorced and you want to just hand it to your ex-husband. Be honest. Going to a wedding, whatever why do you really want to chase your grandkids around? Want to look great in clothes? And then E was for how much energy level are you going to put into this on a scale of 1 to 10? Let's be honest. And so that was your overall game plan that you were going to look at for the next 30 days. From that, you create a power statement that's short and sweet. So again, everything had to take only a minute, and it was just about check, check, check. But the power statement is something you write, and it could be the same one, or it could be different. It's something like, I eat and move to feel awesome. I love the way I look at my clothes. I'm a powerful creator. Moving on. Something that is going to spark you. Some people like having the same one every month that reflects their goal, and others like changing it. But when you say it, you're like, I'm a powerful creator. I have perfect timing. I like the way I look and feel. Wow, I really enjoy working out. It's got to be something that really go, oh, that feels really good.
Yeah.
Really feels good inside. So that's your game plan. And that was your power statement. And what was the third thing? I think you asked me a third thing.
So it was game plan, power statement, action plan. So you've got.
Yeah, it's in there, but remember, when you look at it every single day, so there's your game plan. Here's your power statement. Every day you say, okay, today I'm just going to move. My action is I'm going to move for 5 minutes. My action is I'm going to cook for the week. So you're putting it in what you're doing that day.
So you're focused, and
it's being it. This is what we're talking about as far as health and wellness, but it can be applied to every area of your life. And it's what people are saying in different ways, and whatever resonates with you. It's being intentional with
I was just thinking that exactly.
I'm not just going to be out there and be loosey-goosey, but I'm actually focusing in and long on what I'm going after and what I want with any area. Right
And
now is your body.
yeah. And it's being accountable to yourself. You know, a lot of times we put it off like, well, I'm not doing this because of that person or that thing or that circumstance. And we don't realize that, you know, it all comes down to you. You are the number one person that can hold you accountable.
And almost everything I teach doesn't take long. So I take out like, I don't have time, it's too costly, it's too painful. That's hogwash. It doesn't have to be any of those things.
Awesome. So I have my statement that I have that I got from one of the coaching classes that I had or webinars, but it's my someday is now. And that I have right on my desk because, you know, when I get an opportunity to come up and I think I don't have time, I don't do this, I don't do that or whatever, I just remember, no, my someday is now.
Yeah. And it's not complicated, but it just goes, wait a minute. Okay.
Yeah.
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 Yeah. I love that one. Haven't heard that in a while.
So the last formal question that we have before we hit the rapid fire is, what advice would you like to give your 20-year-old self?
Oh, I forgot about that one.
Yeah.
Oh, I noticed. You're not perfect, but you're incredible. That's what I would tell myself.
So true. And again, I think our worst critic is ourselves.
Yeah.
You know, especially as we get older, I think we think less and less, you know, about our worth.
Yep.
And take, you know, forget about all of the gifts and the value and the experiences that we had.
Yeah. Yeah. The wisdom.
Yeah, that's right. I remind my grandsons of that all the time.
They won't get it.
Yeah, well, right. They're young enough now that they think everything I do is awesome. So that's good.
Hopefully it continues that way.
Yes. So this is time for rapid fire. And again, just questions or phrases, quick answers, you know. If there's something that we need to talk about a little longer, we'll just have another podcast and enjoy this time we're having together a little bit more.
You got it.
So in your bio, I saw that you have written 2 books, which we haven't really talked about. And I'd like to just give a minute for you to just explain a little bit about each of your books. So first is Train Your Head and Your Body Will Follow. And then your second is My 30-Day Reset Journal. So let's talk about Train Your Head and Your Body Will Follow. What inspired you to write that, and what's the key message of that book?
I always had a story to tell everybody, a parable. So my staff's like, you should write a book. So I ended up writing a guidebook, which has 2 journals in it, which was about my journey of studying the people with pure joy, what the mentors taught me, and all these little stories to get you to spend 1 to 3 minutes to journal. So the first part was that. And then the second part, there's 2 journals in it. My 30-day reset journal were spin-offs for people that just wanted the journals and explanation for the journals. But recently, which I didn't put in there, I wrote Recess to Reset, which is for a journal for kids, and they love it. But by the way, all my adult clients are using it, and it's not for kids. And that's for 6 to 12-year-olds, but it is awesome. And the kids taught me so much. And it's the same thing. It's a fun way to be happy and healthy and tap into your unique gifts and superpowers.
And I really think that that's a great thing to have now, because in the last 3 years, 2.5 years, our kids have gone through a lot of stress and anxiety, and they need to understand how to be joyful again.
Yeah. And I didn't realize until I actually, you know, my publisher said they wanted a book like this. And I thought, wait a minute, that's not my expertise. I mean, I love kids, I'm kid-like, but they're like, we need it now. I'm like, no, you got to give me a year. I want to go in and study with kids. And I'm so glad I did, because when you really talk to the kids, they will tell you what they want and what they need. And the biggest thing that they taught me, and I keep saying it, they're like, you know, the parents and the teachers say, we have unique gifts. We all have unique gifts and superpowers, right? But do we? Because if we're not the star athlete or the singer, in the lead play or the head of the spelling bee, how am I so unique? And then to add on to it, social media promotes number one this, number one that. And I thought, oh my gosh, these kids are right. So they had me come up, which is in the front of the book, all the different ways that you show up uniquely, and that it's just as much a gift to be a great listener as it is to be an athlete, to be creative, to be an artist, to have belief, to have faith. And that came from the kids.
Yeah, I work with the kids too, and I just love the things that come out of their little mouths. And the thing that I always remind them is that all through school, and my husband was a teacher for 40 some years. So I have that perspective of the teacher. My daughter is a teacher as well. But it's so often that we have that young toddler, preschooler, and we try to initiate creativity, innovation, and all that. And then we put them in school and everything is within a box, in a frame of this is how you do it, this is the way you do it, and takes away the creativity of what I call our GPS, where I can get to the end goal my way, doesn't necessarily be your way, but it's not the wrong way. And in our minds, we often teach our kids that there's one way, the right way, and there's no other way. And then we go and get them in business and we say, we want you to be innovative and brainstorm and all this, and they don't know how the hell to do it.
Yeah. That's what they were saying. I mean, and the first graders of all the kids, they were the most brutally honest with me.
Oh, yeah.
And they're like, and you caused it. I go, me? They're like, people like you. They meant people my age.
Yes.
Okay, fair enough.
Yep. Yeah, I love working with kids. My next book is going to be regarding kids. All right, so next one. What can a person expect if they attended one of the Sandy Joy Weston's courses?
Well, they would have a blast. We're going to have fun. It's just going to be a party. It's very interactive. It's very entertaining. Everything I do, whether I'm doing a keynote, masterclass, or workshop, is based around life doesn't happen to you, you happen to life. Nice. And so I'm teaching different skills that they can go away with right away.
Nice.
There may be, I'm just saying, you might be coming up with your own celebration dance like they do at the end zone.
I love it. I love it. All right. So you have a podcast, and I have not mentioned that, but why don't you tell a little bit about what your podcast is all about, the name and all that fun stuff.
Okay. So I think it's 12 years ago, I started Let's Keep It Real because I wanted to get to know people in the well-being area from around the world that were making a positive difference. So I interview somebody from around the world every week, and I freaking love it. We tell their story, we tell their journey and what they're putting out in the world. But 3 years ago, 3.5 years, right before COVID, I started a live podcast, just saying, Vicki, for women that's called Hey, I Got Something to Say. And it's a 30-minute podcast where we bring women from around the world who are over, most of them 40, who felt like they had something really big to say. They had a lot of wisdom, but they weren't being heard anymore.
Yeah. That's exactly why I started this.
Yeah. And it's called Hey, I Got Something to Say. And it's so much fun.
Yeah. So my next podcast that I plan on doing starting next year it's related to the URL that I own, which is It's Just a Conversation. And it is just to interview people that I think are cool, that other people need to meet.
I get way more out of it. I really do.
Yeah. All right. What would your last golden nugget be for our audience today? If they could only remember one thing.
don't make a big, hairy deal out of things. Lighten up. I promise you, you have way more power than you think you do.
Mm-hmm.
And when you just look in just for a moment, you will see that you have so much peace, joy, and love to offer the world. And it doesn't have to be difficult to get it out there.
Awesome. Awesome. All right. It is time now for us to share my screen. So if you have not been taking notes, shame on you. But I will encourage you to grab a pen and paper so that you can get the information if you're just listening. Those of you that are watching, you can go ahead and get a screenshot. Okay, so we have her website as www.sandyjoyweston.com. That's SandyJoyweston. It's all one word, sandyjoyweston.com. She's on LinkedIn, she's on Facebook, she's on Instagram, and she's on Twitter, and she is a sweet person who has given all of those her name to find her. So you can find her just by searching Sandy Joy Weston. I'm going to let Sandy talk to you about her 1 to 3 minutes a day that you can find information on her website.
Yeah, so if you go to my website, there's everything you can possibly want there. There is free literature, there's blogs, there's how you can hire me for a podcast, there's tips. I answer every single person. I try to get back to them within 24 hours. So just reach out to me and I promise we'll have a good time. We'll have fun no matter what we do. And most of all,
joy.
Yeah, I was going to say, you'll have joy. Yeah, joy. That's it.
Awesome. Well, Sandy, it has been just awesome. Wonderful, wonderful fun. I want to thank you for being my guest and for sharing all of your great tips, your insights, your story. And I look forward to having more conversations with you. Reminder, if you haven't done so already, go ahead after this podcast and search sandyjoyweston.com to find out more. Check out all of those things that she says that are on her website. Check out her podcast. And as always, please subscribe to my podcast. So once again, thank you so much, Sandy, for being my guest. And as always, I remind everybody that life is a journey and it is up to you to enjoy the ride. This is Vicki Nettling signing off.
Thank you for tuning into the Find Your Leadership Confidence podcast with Vicki Nettling, where we share impactful lessons that help you grow as an individual, grow your confidence, and find the positive and good within you so you powerfully and authentically become the best version of yourself. Remember to visit our website at www.findyourleadershipconfidence.com and enjoy even more great episodes like this one. Again, while you're here, subscribe to us via your favorite network. We look forward to seeing you next time on the Find Your Leadership Confidence podcast.